What's up? So tonight I am having my grandpa tell this scary ghost story that he had told me before. The last time he told me the story I was in like 5th grade, but from what I remember it was super cool and creepy, and I went to school and was telling a bunch of people about it because it was so cool and scary. So I wanted to record it with him because 1, I remember it being a cool story, 2, I want to have it forever, because 3, I love my grandpa, and it's all the reason I need.
Hey. That's not fair. Get back here. Get back here. Get in the yard. You can be open. You stay. Very well trained dog. That's a tree, much like the one over the pond. And there's a pond behind it, too.
My grandpa is making this a production, picking the setting for the spooky story. Shadow, you don't see any ghosts, do you?
Oh my God! What do you see? Oh, wait. Gotta figure out where to put it. Hey. Hey, man.
Huh?
Get through here.
You have to be loud enough so that the camera can pick up what you're saying.
Hmm?
Alright. You have to be loud enough so the camera can pick up what you're saying.
You gonna interview me? Might just Well, the story starts in the early to mid 1970s, probably around 74. We all used to hang out at Maplewood Memorial Park. Big park, had a big hill, went down, had paths going all around it, over these bridges, rivers running through it, more like creeks, but they were part of a river. One night, we crossed across from the train station to the top of the hill, and big grassy area. It was just me and my buddy Jeff, and we sat down like a clump of bushes about 8 foot wide, 5 foot deep, and so we kind of sitting there watching down the hill what was going on, which wasn't really much, and all of a sudden a little boy about this high, little blonde-haired kid, come walking around the bushes from behind the bushes where we were, and he's looking at us, and we're like, yeah, what do you want? And he's like, have you seen my sister Suzy? And we said, no. We haven't seen you girls in the park yet tonight, and we didn't really know anybody named Suzy. So we figured the kids, parents were somewhere around in the park, because it wasn't that late yet. But he kept persisting. He wouldn't go away. He just kept saying, have you seen my sister Suzy? So after a while, after trying to convince him, no, we ain't seen your sister Suzy, we started to get a little freaked out by the kid, like, okay, let's leave. We just kind of got up kind of in a hurry. I went this way, Jeff went that way, and we meet on the other side. There was a path going back towards the train station. And as we got around, we heard this big rustling in the bushes behind us. We didn't look back, we didn't go back and check, but it kind of sounded like the kid ran into the bushes. But we didn't really know what happened, because we didn't see him anymore. That's pretty much the end of the story.
Oh, not as scary as remember it.
Next time we knew this girl Ellen, and Ellen had her cousin in town from out of state, Quincy. So we were just hanging out in the park, but this time we're all the way down the park. We got over the bridge where the creek was, and it brings you to the duck pond. The duck pond was a good place to hang out. Had a tree right by the edge of the duck pond, kind of like this, where it had a fork in the tree, and the pond was over there, but this kind of came down where you could sit on it. We're sitting on the tree, 2 of us, and the other 2 were kind of sitting over here in the grass. And we said, last time we were in this park, some kid came up to us and just kept saying, have you seen my sister Suzy?
Oh my gosh, it's Suzy.
No. Behind us was the path, and behind the path was a creek with the wall. The wall was probably about this tall. It went down to the creek on both sides, and the wall was built out of stone. And these stones are kind of large river rock, round kind of stones, all mortared together. I was facing that direction. The pond was behind me like it is now. And we're saying, yeah, this kid's saying, you seen my sister Suzy? Well, while I'm telling this story, all of a sudden, from right where that wall dropped down that creek, I look over there, and coming up over that wall, not coming down the path over the bridge, but coming out of the creek over that wall, which would be hard to climb for a little kid that size, and because the rocks on that wall were kind of round, not something easy to climb up anyway, and it's water. And all of a sudden, I look over there, coming right directly towards us is that kid. Owen and Quincy can't see him yet because he's coming from behind them. And I'm looking at Jeff, and I'm like, it wasn't that far away, maybe 20 feet or so from where we're sitting to the edge of that wall. And so the kid kind of getting close to us pretty quick, and he comes up, stops right behind Ellen and Quincy, turn around, and the kid says, "Have you seen my sister Suzy?" That was the end of that story. We got up. We were hauling out. We ran along the path, along the duck pond, all the way as fast as we could. I mean, we left this kid in the dust. He's just some little kid. But then we had to slow down because the far end of the pond, the path kind of stops. So to get to the other side, there's this little dam with a little archway. So we had to go over that single file. You know, it was only about that wide. So we all had to slow down to get over that. We're still in a hurry, but we're getting over that thing as quick as we can. But we had to slow down and go single file. And all of a sudden, we heard, "Have you seen my sister Suzy?" That dude, that little kid, was right behind us. I mean, there. Turned around and was like, "Oh." And we got over that little bridge thing, and we ran across that one ball field, straight up this hill, and on top of this big knoll that overlooked the two ball fields, there's a big boulder with a plaque on it to soldiers or something. It's like a dedication boulder. It was a big boulder. It was about 7, 8 foot tall, about 5 or 6 feet wide. Got behind it and turned around to see if the kid was still on our tail. We looked out across the ball fields. There's 2 ball fields out there, and we saw the kid going straight across them ball fields from one to the other path. And he was literally like in a state of flotation across the fields. You know, you see somebody gating, you know, like,
Yeah.
no, he wasn't doing it. This kid was drifting
Floating.
across the field. And it was dark, but you could see that he was just, and then he went to the other side of the field, and we left the premises. We didn't see the kid no more. But later on, I don't know if this is coincidence or whatever, but later on, we were back up on the hill, coming down, kind of where we saw him the first time on that big hill. And it's a steep hill, and we're walking down the other path. And as we're walking down that path, we saw one of those double-seater bicycles, and it was coming up the path. And it was like a father and mother, say in the 30s or something. And they were pedaling that bike, and a little girl was on like a kid bike behind them, going up the hill. Now, the weird thing about it was, nobody was standing up. These were like bikes, just regular old bikes with a, you know, 1-speed bike. So if you're trying to get up a hill that steep, you'd have to get up on your, you know,
stand up and
pedal your way up there. Didn't really think nothing of it at first, you know, you're just kind of walking like, you know, okay, that was a little weird, you know, but okay. Got down the bottom of that hill, crossed the road, you know, only a few minutes later we get down there, we're walking across that area, and the same family, and the same bikes, our bikes have gone past us again.
And that wasn't like on the top of the hill that they
No,
just went up?
they passed us going up the hill, past us. And we're going this way, and they're coming again from the direction they just come from. You can't do that.
Yeah.
First of all, you couldn't have got up that hill without standing up. Second of all, there's no way they could have got anywhere, looped around, and came back to where we were that quick. But the weird thing was, there was a father, mother, and a girl. I don't know.
Is that
So
Sister
Suzy.
Suzy?
And the parents looking for this kid? I don't know. That is a story of Sister Suzy. I mean, it was all just weird. And when he came toward us from the creek, I mean, that was just freaky. Like, you know, it just kind of came out of up over that wall and came across at you, and you're kind of looking at his face and his body, and like, you know, you can't believe, holy, here's this kid again. No, This ain't happening. And he didn't walk down the path from that way or walk down the path from that way. He didn't come over that bridge down there. He didn't come from the street over there. He came from the creek wall, like up and across. So we didn't have a lot of time to
As you guys started running
think
because it was
about this.
creepy.
And like, well, let's have a conversation with this little weird kid that just appeared when we're talking about him in the middle of the night. We were like, out of here.
Because that's kind of weird, because like if it was a real boy looking for his real sister, why would he be looking in the same place, asking the same people like a week later?
First of all, it wasn't a real kid. There ain't no way he's a real kid.
Yeah.
You know, the first night, yeah, kind of seemed like a real kid. The second time, nah. Nah, it was obvious that there was something freaky about this kid the second night.
Where I don't know where the lock goes. Grandpa? Where does the lock go? Where does the lock go?
It's hanging on the fence right there.
Right here?
Yeah.
How's that lock it?
What? Take it off. You put it in the hole.
Oh.
And lock it.
Okay.